Hi everybody. This video is walking you guys through your first essay assignment. This one is an argumentative essay where you actually don't need to pull in any research. This is really just looking at your argumentation skills, your logical reasoning, and setting you up to carry through to your second essay. So the prompt is pretty simple. You're going to create an argumentative essay with a clearly stated stance or position on an issue of your choosing with evidence. So the evidence here is your logical reasoning. You don't, as I said, you will not have to pull in research unless you want to. You're more than welcome to if you like to. You can pick your own topic, but whatever you do choose is subject to the instructor approval. That is because I know where the second essay goes and what the goal is as far as incorporating research from the second essay, which has to be on the same topic and the same stance as this one. So I do need to approve the topic first before you can start writing on it. You can't switch the topics between essay 1 and essay 2. So again, that's why I need to approve the topic. So the essay for the first one will be 3 to 4 pages in length, and it's due on Sunday, September 20th at 11:59 p.m. Mla formatting is required. So that means you need to have Times New Roman, Cambria, or Arial double-spaced 12-point font, header in the top left corner with your name, the instructor's name, the course information, the course number, and section number, and the date. And the top right corner will have the page numbers, and then you'll also have a title, 1-inch margins all around. Do note that the minimum page length is required, so if you write less than that, you will lose points. So 3 pages means 3 pages to the very bottom. You are always welcome to write more, you just can't write less. So the topic itself, you do need to think about a couple things. So this needs to be something that can be argued. So it needs to be something that has a definitive stance or position. I've had students write about any number of things from kind of, very broad national topics like the right to, to restrict or enable abortion within a certain term, the use of hormones in meat, why it should or should not be used. I've had students write about the need for federally funded year-long maternity leave on a national scale, or the legalization of marijuana, why we should or should not legalize it nationally. There's any number of topics that you can talk about. One thing that you do need to keep in mind is that it does need to be an argumentative, an arguable topic. So it needs to have a clear and provable stance that you can later incorporate research on. So what won't work is something where you have a qualitative element, so where you're trying to talk about something being the best. So if I tried to argue that chocolate is the best ice cream, no matter how many things I tried to use to prove that, the idea of best is a qualitative idea. There is simply no way to prove that point. Because I can tell you it's chocolate is the best all day long, but you may still think vanilla is, and no matter what I say, it's not provable. So where this translates into topics that I've had students propose that really won't be allowed are things like arguing, say, that a certain sport is the best, or a certain sports player is the greatest of all time, say LeBron is the greatest of all time, or that so whatever it might be, but something along those lines is not an arguable topic with a stance. This needs to be academic in nature. You do need to choose something where you can incorporate credible research and an interview into your analysis in the second essay. So choose something that you are interested in. Choose something that you are passionate about, perhaps. It does make it easier to write when you are passionate about the subject. So it could be anything like climate change, why we should or shouldn't do something. The other thing you need to keep in mind is that your argument needs to have a feasibility. So while you could argue, for example, that we should go to Pluto, that's not necessarily a feasible argument unless you can incorporate the specific steps that you're arguing we as a government or as a people or whoever needs to take to do that. So if, for example, the more narrow and specific you can make your argument with feasible steps about what we should be doing to get to X, Y, and Z, the better your argument is going to be. So I'll give you an example. For example, if you argue that we should, or say you're arguing that we should legalize marijuana on a federal level across the United States, up to, say, whatever, certain number of ounces. That is a arguable stance and clear claim where I have clearly outlined the specifics of the argument. So I haven't just said we need to legalize marijuana. I've said it needs to be legalized on the national level rather than the state level. It needs to be legalized up to a certain amount, and whatever, it might be regulated by the federal government and the taxes go to the government or whatever it might be. That is a very clear and arguable stance and argument with good, specific, feasible details. They're actionable details as well, so you don't want to just argue that something should be done and not have any details about how we do it. So I've had, for example, a student say something like, we should have equal pay. And that's a great argument, but there needs to be specificity to it. Exactly how are you saying we do that? How do we achieve that goal? Is it a legal measure? Is it a social campaign, a PSA? How is this achieved? So that needs to be part of your topic. So the topic, again, must be approved. Your essay will have all of the parts of an essay, so it should have an introduction with a clear thesis claim, body paragraphs that have reasons, main ideas, and evidence to support. In this case, your evidence is going to be logical reasoning. You are welcome to bring in 1 or 2 sources if you like, but it is not required. And a conclusion, which wraps up your argument and restates your thesis and your main ideas in new words. So what you don't want to do is have just, say, a 2-sentence conclusion that says something like, and that's why I think we should have climate change. Why we should, be proactive in climate change. That's not a conclusion. The conclusion needs to restate the thesis, the main ideas in new words. Your thesis claim should have a clear, again, should indicate the stance, the topic, and your main ideas. So, for example, if you wanted to say that we need to enact stricter environmental protection measures on a national scale, that would be my thesis claim. And then I would be very specific as to how we're going to do that within my main ideas. I wanted to say we should do it by, instituting a national recycling program and lowering carbon emissions with major corporations and instituting a tax on those big corporations that don't recycle appropriately. It's a terrible example, but I'm giving you guys an idea of what that thesis claim might include. That's very specific. You guys will be doing an outline, and that will actually help you structure your essay with all of the needed pieces. And that is going to be part of your final essay grade. I believe it's 20 points of this essay. So by doing that, you're not only doing the outline to help you structure your essay, but you're also giving yourself a little bit of a boost in your essay grade because it's 20 basically free points as long as it is completed. So that will actually be submitted in I think weeks 3 or 4, I can't remember. So you don't need to resubmit that again, but all you'll need to submit when you're ready is a clean copy of your final draft of your essay as a Word doc. If you have any sources that you do use, you will need to include a separate bib on that doc. And then you won't need a letter of introduction. Don't worry about that. In this packet here for you, I've included some examples of what a outline might look like, a filled-in outline might look like, and then some self-edit guides and different things. As you'll see later, when you do this topic, when you do your logical reasoning, you'll also have something called counter arguments and rebuttals. So basically, this is where you prove to your audience that you're taking into consideration the other side. So if I, again, wanted to say something like, we should not use hormones in beef, I might acknowledge that I might say some people believe that hormones can help whatever, help the better, better have the cows be fattier and have more meat, which in turns can help create more production. That would be my counter argument. So I'm acknowledging that the other side has a view, but then I'm going to refute that. I don't want to just leave it there because it could undercut my argument. So I'm going to refute that and say, however, if you do inject the hormones and it is a fattier cow or whatever it might be, then that in turn can lead to significant health problems within the animal, which can affect the human being. So it's not worth doing. So that is what a counter argument and a rebuttal are. And you're going to see that a little bit more, but we'll talk about this more. But essentially, your outline will have to include at least two counter arguments and a refutation for each. So the goal, as I said, is to show the audience that you're aware that there are other points of view and then to disprove them. So your counter argument is the other point of view. Your rebuttal or refutation, as it's sometimes called, is the disproving of the other side. So if you guys have any questions about this, let me know. Like I said, I've also included an optional self-edit guide for you. So you can just, sorry, it does say 4 pages. This is supposed to be 3, but you can just double check if you like using this optional self-edit guide to make sure that you have a lot of the criteria that's needed. So making sure that you don't have logical fallacies, making sure you have good transitions, you're not using, say, second person voice or switching tenses, but that's obviously not required. It's just there to help you. So again, if you guys have questions, let me know. The main thing that you're first going to do is propose a topic and a stance to me, and that is your next assignment. So let me know if you have questions, but otherwise think carefully about what you choose because you will be writing about this for the next 2 essays. So that's like the first 9 weeks of the course. So like I said, choose something you're passionate about, something you know about or want to learn more about when you do your research, and make sure you have a clear topic, which again would be something like hormones in beef, and a clear stance, which is that we should or should not inject cows with hormones. So that is really the goal, and I will let you guys move on to your next assignment.